it's not news to you, but it is largely to medical field that dental pathology could cause other conditions. This is an interesting case, and it actually changed the way I started evaluating breast thermography. I screen a lot of women for breast cancer, and in cases where women are mastectomized, I generally turn them around and say, now I want to see a picture of your face. And in many, many cases, I see the condition of dental pathology that was never addressed, and I suspect that the problem that might have made her susceptible to breast cancer. So sent her to an oral surgeon. He actually confirmed a lot of things that he found out subsequently on examination. And what he needed to do to kind of get her out of all this, she lost that breast a long time ago, but she hasn't fixed the problem, and she hasn't even addressed the problem until it was pointed out through thermography. It's not with everyone, but in a huge majority of cases, especially with mastectomized women, we see something on the same side of their face, which I suspect is dental pathology. So that's very interesting. And if you ever kind of get cases like this, if you could send me a note, I'd be very interested in seeing whether you have the same observation that I have, Dr. Yu has, and many other people who are involved with this. I have been a clinical thermographer for the past 12 years, and 3 years ago I was actually lecturing on breast thermography at ACAM in Orlando, Florida. At the end of this lecture, a gentleman comes over to me and says, "Do you see a connection between breast cancer and dental pathology?" I said, "No, I haven't seen a connection between breast cancer and dental pathology." He says, "How come?" I said, "Because no one ever told me to look." And this gentleman actually happens to be here, Dr. Simon Yu, who will be lecturing later on. So if any of you have any complaints about the subject of my talk, please refer them to him, because he's the one who put me up to this a couple of years ago. Fascinating case where I started to look at breast analysis evaluation, and it changed my point of view. So initially we take this picture and I say, well, there's something that's going on this side, nothing really that exceeds normal limits. From my point of view, you're somewhat low risk. And then I look at her facial imaging and say, whoa, that's interesting. Look at this area here. Okay. Now look at the laterals. I do my kind of analysis and interpretation, and based on that, I actually go back and upgrade her rating breast risk. Her pathology results later on, she had mammography and she had biopsy. She was grades 5. Again, totally asymptomatic. She was screened regularly with mammography, and only by looking at her face, I said, no, something is up. This is maybe equivocal, but this is no longer equivocal. Something is going on because of her facial imaging. So it kind of revolutionized the way I look at things too, from a holistic point of view. We have a couple more slides and then we're up. Possible dental involvement around here. Abnormal nipple areolar temperatures. She was later diagnosed with breast cancer, and you can see this huge area of concern on the same side. Another case study, this was a patient that I was tracking for a few years. So in 2009 she comes in, and I'm just looking at the breast. I've met Dr. Yu by then, but I wasn't really screening people's faces. And I said, okay, this particular breast is a little different, equivocal, and we score them. We have a numerical score. And now she comes in January of this year, and at that time I already pointed out that, look, you have something that's going on right around there. Go get this thing checked out. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. In this particular case, she refused to do anything further. She hasn't really done anything. And 2 years later, or a year and a half later, she comes back. Her breast is significantly warmer. But not only that, look at this whole area is also significantly warmer. Because again, the problem has never been addressed with dental pathology. And I'm happy to say that Dr. Yu is going to be presenting a few more cases. I haven't seen them myself, but as an internist, he has interest not only in the breast, I should say, but how dental pathology affects other conditions. So I definitely would encourage you to visit his lecture at 3:30.